Welcome to the Elevate podcast, brought to you by the Registered Master Builders, where we're all about building better businesses. Each week we explore the ideas and practices that help us get the best from our businesses, our teams and ourselves. I'm your host, Ryan Castle, along with Dr. Mike Ashby. We talk to experts, advocates and business owners in the construction industry to share their knowledge, insights and experiences to help you build a better business and enjoy a better life. In addition to the podcast, the Registered Master Builders Elevate is also an online learning platform hosting courses, programs and content that help construction business owners and their staff to build a better business. Now let the business building begin. Today's topic, Mike, for our podcast episode is the two big strategic questions. But let me talk about part of the inspiration for bringing this as a topic. I was doing...
Got a third one.
The third big strategic question?
Yeah, it's sort of not quite as big, but it's pretty big. Yeah.
That's awesome. They're getting 30% extra for free. Oh, it's already free.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Look, I was running a strategy session for one of our long-term clients. They have a successful business. It is edging up towards the $10 million a year turnover, but they've been kind of hovering in that zone for a couple of years.
Plateaued,
okay. And they were going, we really want to make some change. We want to do things differently, but they were really struggling with almost the mindset around how to think about their strategy. So a couple of questions and a third that I brought to the table really unlocked their thinking and help them evaluate differently their situation. I think the challenge is when you've been in business for a fair amount of time, you're achieving, reasonable results, and then you're going, how do we do this? And we tend towards the tweaking around the outside. So we go, if we just trimmed a little bit of cost there and we just gained a little bit of revenue over there, we could probably do 5% better and we'd add a bit more profit. And, is that a bad thing? No.
Nope.
But if your aspiration is greater than that, thinking about single percent increases or decreases in your business, look, they won't get you to the next level. So the first question I like to raise with people is absolutely forget about the fact that you own your current business and put yourself in the place of, if you were a new entrant to this industry, what would you do?
It's a really powerful way of thinking about not just your business, but your industry. And I think one of the things that we don't do enough, I know that we haven't done it enough, is think about our industry. We think a lot about our business and our market, our customers and where all that's going, but we don't think much about our industry. When we went to Brendan Burchard last year, he just talked about in this industry, and it's going, oh yeah, we're in this industry, and this is what it looks like, and these are where the trends are. So if nothing else, that question about if you were just entering the industry for the first time, what would you do, is a great question, if only because it forces you to think about the industry. Yes. And then secondly, it gets you to think about your business model.
And I think it starts unlocking some thinking around, I wouldn't operate in those customer segments because look, we've done it, they deliver some revenue to us, but ultimately they're not that profitable. They're very resource heavy, they're very costly for us to serve those segments, so we wouldn't do those. Actually I'd probably ditch 30-50% of my product range or my service offerings because we've done them because they were good at one time and we continue to do them because, again, legacy revenue, we kind of stick at them. But if I was a new entrant coming to the market, there's no way I'd start off doing that stuff because I just know that it's had its time. So it forces you to think about those kind of things. So yes, that question, what would you do if you're a new entrant to your market, is a good one. The other one I like is to think about what would your business look like if it was double the size, triple the size, whatever the right kind of delta is for your business. But again, when we were talking to this business, we said, well, what would it look like if you were a $20 million business? How would you get there? What would you do differently? And again, it raises all those things like, well, the capability of the people that I've got now probably won't get me to a $20 million business, so I need to think about those. We would need to diversify both products and potentially markets as well. So then we got into discussions around, well, if we're going to diversify, one of the options is to look at acquisition, because that allows us to not only acquire new products and new markets, but also the knowledge that goes with that diversification. And hey, look, not suggesting that acquisition is easy, but it opened their thinking. So they were no longer going, how do we get from 10 to 10, 5 or 11? They're going, oh, actually, we could probably make that happen. And they have a new GM in the business, and he's very growth mindset oriented, and he was going, hey, look, I'm up for it. I'm up for it. And it's then just the case of us working through the strategy and going, well, how will we get there? What's standing in our way? What can we get past? But you could just see in the session, it just like opened their thinking massively about the business.
And it is one of the lessons that comes from, there's a difference between entrepreneurs and business owners. And probably most of the people we work with don't call themselves entrepreneurs, they call themselves business owners. And I think one of the things that we can learn from the truly entrepreneurial mindset is always about that. How would it look if it was this much bigger? How would we go about doubling the size of this, tripling, whatever? And the very high growth, whether companies start out this way. I was with a company the other day, and in 10 years they've gone from 0 to 300 people. They've actually, a couple of years ago, they sold out, I think, the majority of the original founders' shareholding for
big number?
Between 1 and 200 million.
Right.
Within 10 years. So really rapid growth and well executed. Whether they started out with that, I don't know. But what they didn't do was limit themselves. The number one problem that small business owners have is small thinking. And what you're describing, getting from 10 to 11, is small thinking. The big thinking that you brought, what would it look like if we doubled the size? And it starts with unlocking that thinking. It just says, stop looking here for the solutions to this little problem. Make the problem this big, because it's a whole different universe of solutions. And the more you look at those, you go, oh yeah, well, we could do that. And suddenly, we've created a vision, if only a suggestion of a vision. It's twice the size of what it is now. And when we create vision, we create possibility. And when there's possibility, we create energy. Did you notice that the room kind of boing?
Massively.
Yeah,
massively.
Totally.
And look, the director had been struggling with strategy. He kind of couldn't see past exactly. He kind of had the myopia thing. He was stuck right there. Yeah. And as soon as we brought in that thinking, body language change, energy in the room came up. And look, it was less about whether they actually get to 20 million or not.
The point.
It's not the point. It's unlocking that thinking.
And the energy.
And once you've got those things, then you can make better decisions about where you actually do decide to take the company and what you do. But it was
vision creates possibility creates energy, because we as humans, we love the idea that there's something better. It gets us going, it gets us excited, and that's what energy looks like.
Spot on. So question number 3.
I've changed it.
I've changed it.
I've got.
Of course you have.
I needed to.
Go on.
Because it wasn't really that strategic. Certainly wasn't at the quality of thinking that we've been talking about. But it's a question that we've asked ourselves, and it's a really good question. What would you do with $1 million?
What a goodie.
Bugger.
that you had to spend in the business.
That you had to spend in the business. You couldn't spend on a holiday in Hawaii.
That would be a good holiday.
That would be a great holiday. What would you do with $1 million? Somebody walks up and says, "Here's $1 million grant, government." Oh, wait on, Provincial Growth Fund, for example. Wander up and ask for some money, and they'll give you $1 million. What would you do with it? And for our conversations have been about, oh, gee, it's harder than it sounds, isn't it?
It does. Particularly because most business owners go, what's holding you back? And they go, more capital. Right.
Right.
If we gave you $1 million, what would you spend it on? Not really sure.
Yeah, it's a great question. But in pursuit of, let's say you want to double your size, and by the way, here is 25% of that revenue is available to you as a cash grant from the Provincial Growth Fund. Use it how you will to help you get there. That makes you think, doesn't it?
Well, and again, it unlocks the mind, right? Because so often we go, oh, we'd like to do that, but we don't have the money. Oh, we'd like to do that, we don't have the money. We'd like to do that, but we don't have the money. As soon as you unlock that thinking, actually, you know what? I need to be cautious how I phrase this. There are very many sources of money. If you can put together a great business case and evidence why that will work, there is almost always an answer to the money question.
I was thinking exactly that. One of the constraints is, well, we'd never get the money. We don't have the money, and if we don't have it, then we can't get it, and the bank wouldn't lend it to us, for example. But to your point, actually the bank would lend it to you, quite possibly, if you could demonstrate a case that said, if we spend this on that, we'll get that. And if you can't spend this on that to get that, then you probably shouldn't spend to this, should you? So it's a great way of not only unlocking your kind of creativity around how you can grow your business, but also to kind of be a really good reality test about you might just be trying to kind of push rope up. It's not that easy. So it's kind of the economics aren't there. Either way, sure. It's a nice question to follow up your how would we double this business.
So take your team. Get out of the office and go and ask them those three questions. What would we do if we were a new entrant? What would we do if we we're going to double this business in the next 3 years? And what would we do if we had to spend $1 million next week or next month or a short time
over the course
frame
of that to achieve it
to get it done? Great questions. You will be surprised the ideas that get unlocked when you take that approach to some strategic thinking.
Yeah, good stuff.
Great. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
See ya.